Hey there! Singletons are the easiest way to get a Unity project off the ground, and the absolute fastest way to turn your codebase into spaghetti. On the other extreme, full dependency injection frameworks come with a learning curve that can feel like an overkill. Today, I'm going to show you the middle ground, the Service Locator pattern. It packs most of the architectural benefits of dependency injection, but it's almost as easy to use as a singleton. Buckle up. Before implementing anything, let's understand the basics. A service is a dependency that can do something we might require. Want to log something? There's a log service. Want to know or update how many coins the player has? Here's a player balance service. And it doesn't have to have the service suffix. Then there's a service locator. It's a special place that holds all available services in a collection and can provide any of them when requested. Lastly, there are consumers. Basically, any type that requires services. It asks the locator to provide something, and if the service was registered, the consumer will receive an instance of it. Let's start by creating an empty interface to define a service. I don't really expect all services to have something in common, so it's purely a marker interface we'll use in generic constraints. Next, I want to create the interface for the service locator. The reason I want to use an interface here is for testability with mocking and to have the ability to swap implementations, something that's hard to do with singletons. I'll start with the generic getService method. This method will be used by consumers to request services. The next step is service registration. I like to use the try pattern here, returning a boolean indicating the result of the operation. Notice the generic parameters. I want the registration to be performed with a contract that implements the iService interface. Unfortunately, C# doesn't have an interface constraint, so the contract here can be any class or interface. I'm also adding a simple constraint to the instance. It should inherit from the contract. Next, I'll need the ability to remove the registration. So I'll copy the registration signature and just change the name here. Now, sometimes I won't want to provide interfaces. For simplicity, for prototypes, or because reasons. So let's create a signature that accepts only the implementation. There's a great feature we've had since C#8 called default interface implementations. Let's use it to call the first registration method with the same generic parameter twice, basically saying that both the contract and the implementation are the same. And I'll do the same for the unregister method. This approach allows us to not force any locator implementations to implement those methods, which can make the code a lot cleaner. Now I want to create a default implementation. I'll create a simple example that can be altered, expanded, or even simplified according to your needs, so you can take this as a starting point. I'll start by creating a dictionary that will hold all the services mapped by their type. I'm using a regular dictionary, but if you're planning to modify this collection from another thread, you should use a concurrent dictionary. The implementation for the getService method is pretty simple. I just try to fetch the service from the dictionary by its type and cast it to the requested type. If the service isn't found, I'll return a default value, which is null for classes. Alternatively, you can throw an exception here. Registration is a bit more complicated than that. I'm starting by trying to add the implementation to the dictionary with the interface type as a key. If I already have this type registered, I can stop here and return false. But sometimes registered types are resolved by the implementation type, so I need to handle this edge case as well. In case the contract and implementation types are the same, I don't need to do anything and can just report that the registration was successful. Otherwise, I'll try to add the same implementation to the collection for the second time, but this time with the implementation type as the key. If the registration was unsuccessful, I need to decide how to handle the situation. On one hand, I can let it sleep and leave everything as is. But personally, I think that's wrong and I should roll back the changes. So what I'll do is remove the interface registration from the dictionary and report that the registration was unsuccessful. Lastly, if everything was okay, I can return true. Registration removal is similar, but I don't want to remove anything straight away. It might be that the registered instance of the interface is not the same instance we want to remove, so a check is in order. If the registration doesn't exist or the existing registration is different from the service we want to remove, I stop here. Next, I try to remove the contract type from the collection, and if the contract and implementation types are the same, I can safely return success. If they are not the same, I'll do a little recursion here, calling the same method, but I will pass the implementation type as both of the generic parameters. This will help me do all the safety checks we did previously. Lastly, if the implementation wasn't removed, I want to roll back the changes, meaning returning the contract type back to the dictionary. This is a good place to remind you that this code is not optimized for multi-threaded work and will have potential race conditions there. But it's good enough even for async code. Well, unless you're spawning a new thread with tasks. Just don't use C# tasks in Unity. I have a video explaining why. Now that I'm done with the implementation, I need a way to easily access the Service Locator. And for that, I'm once again going to use the default interface implementation feature, but in a way that many don't know is possible. What I'll do here is go to the iService Locator interface and create a static property called default. Yes, you can have static properties in an interface. What's more, you can even have a static constructor inside an interface, which I'll use to initialize the property with a default locator. Notice that this is not exactly a singleton because it can be easily overridden. The idea here is you have a default implementation the moment you access this field, but if you want to provide another implementation, you can. More on that a bit later. Let's take a look at my portals here. Apart from the meshes that I downloaded from the asset store, there are a couple of important things here. First, the mesh collider on the mesh itself for my character to bump into. If I really wanted to, I could have simplified the colliders, but I don't. Then, on the portal itself, I have a trigger collider that should trigger the teleportation. And lastly, I have a destination point. The idea here is when player enters the trigger collider on the first portal, they will be teleported to the destination point of the second portal, and vice versa. For the sake of this example, I created multiple services in advance. For example, this log service. All it does is append the invoking script before the message. But in your case, you might have some custom logic, like login errors to your backend or something. I also have this simplified sound manager that only plays this one sound here. And for the sake of example, I even marked the player controller as a service, even though there are better solutions. There's separate code that handles the movement, and this controller exists only for the video and handles only the teleportation. But in real life, it could be as complex as you see fit. Here we have a teleport method that accepts a destination transform. In order to teleport, I disable the character controller script to prevent position caching, update the position and rotation of the character based on the destination, and lastly, re-enable the character controller. Now let's create a game manager to handle the teleportation. I'm not sure it's the right place for your game, but my game consists only of moving and teleporting around, so I'd say it fits well. While I can request the dependencies only when I need them, I like to cache them for performance and to initialize them in one place for readability. I'll need all of them here: the player controller, the sound manager, and the log service. As with anything in Unity, we should initialize our components in awake but access others in start. So during start, I can request all the dependencies I need. And I do it through the static field on the interface for each service I need. Now I want to create a method that will handle the teleportation. It will accept a destination transform, and the first thing I need to do is make sure that the transform is not empty. If it is, I can use the log service to log an error and exit the flow. Next, I can once again use the log service, but this time to log the destination position. Then I want to play a teleport sound and lastly, trigger the teleportation on the player itself. Now I need to trigger this code from somewhere. I'll go ahead and create a portal controller class. Here, I'll need a reference to the teleportation destination and the player layer. Similar to what I did in the game manager with other dependencies, I'll do the same here with the game manager itself. I'll hold a reference to it and fetch it from the service locator in the start method. Then, during onTriggerEnter, I can handle the logic. First, I'll check if the layer of the object that triggered it is inside the player layer mask. By the way, the isInLayerMask method is an extension method I created that uses bitwise operations to check the layers. If it's not a player, we can abort the execution. If it is, we can trigger the teleport player method on the game manager with the destination configured on this object. So far, we've only used the dependencies, but never actually registered them. Let's fix that. I'll create serialized fields for each one of the dependencies, and since log service is not a MonoBehaviour, I can create a new instance here without a serialized field. To tell you the truth, I could have made the game manager into a regular class as well, but it's not a Unity game if it doesn't have a game manager MonoBehaviour, right? For the registrations, I'll need the awake method. It's a good idea to have all of your registrations in one place. If you have a lot of them, you can split them into multiple classes, but try to have a single entry point that will trigger all the registrations. This will prevent potential issues with missing dependencies. Lastly, I need to remove the registrations during onDestroy, basically creating a lifetime scope for those services. It's not clean, and cached instances will still work. So one option would be to handle the disposal of the services here. But that's for you to decide. Let's set up the scene. I already have a character with the player controller script and the sound manager. Now I need to create a game manager object and assign the component to it. To register the dependencies, I'll create an installer object and add the service installer script to it. Now I need to reference all the dependencies here. I'll just drag and drop them. Lastly, I need to handle the portals. I'll select one and add a portal controller to it. My player is on player layer, so I'll set it up here. Since the portals are prefabs, I'll just apply the changes. Now both portals in the scene have the controller script attached and I can wire the destinations. The destination of the first portal will be the teleportation target on the second portal, and the destination of the second portal will be the teleportation target on the first portal. And now I can enter play mode to see all this hard work in action. If I enter the portal, the sound effect is played and the character is teleported to the second portal. And it works both ways. You can also see the logs working and writing the destination coordinates in the console. The last thing I wanted to show you is the ability to swap implementations. I might want a verbose locator for dev builds and no logs in production. So I can create a new implementation. Here, I just inherit from the default service locator and add logs, but since we're using interfaces, I can do a lot more. This is particularly helpful if you're implementing unit tests in your project. You can create a mock implementation of a service locator that provides different dependencies per test. I have a couple of videos about unit testing. I'll add links in the description. While this solution is not the cleanest in terms of testing, it's a lot better than pure MonoBehaviour Singletons. The last step is to make sure we use the newly created locator. And the best place for it will be inside the installer, before any installation happens. I can just replace the instance everyone is using in the editor, and from this point forward, the locator will log everything in the editor. Now, when I enter play mode, you can see a lot of logs. At the bottom, you can see the requests, and at the top, you can see service registrations. Oh, you're still here. I usually assume most people click off right after the scene change. Never mind. Listen, if you ask me, I'm always going to be team dependency injection. But I firmly believe that Service Locator is a massive step up from those fake MonoBehaviour Singletons. But what do you think? Now that you've seen the code in action, are you going to try the Service Locator? Go full DI? Or are you Team Singletons for life? Let me know in the comments. If this kind of architecture content is your thing, check out my other videos and consider subscribing. Keep on creating, and I'll see you in the next one.